Hi, everyone, this is the Encyclopedia Channel. The book that this program interprets for you is called The One Thing. The author is an American named Gary Keller, who is the largest real estate company in the world. The chairman of Keller Williams International Real Estate Company, one of the companies, has written several best-selling books. The book I am going to talk about now is one of them. It has been ranked first in the book sales list of Amazon. So, what is written in the book? And how do you understand what the author said, that if you want to be successful, you must focus on the most important thing? How is it a lie that self-discipline and willpower can solve all problems? After listening to this interpretation, I believe everyone can understand it and provide some inspiration for their work. What does the most important thing, and only one, mean? Generally speaking, we all believe that in order to be successful and achieve success, one has to go through a lot of hardships, learn a lot, and do a lot of things. The author of this book said that if you want to succeed and achieve outstanding achievements, you must learn to give up many things and focus on doing the most important thing. Doing one is enough. The author believes that because this truth is so simple, many people are not easy to believe it. Interestingly, the author Gary Keller himself didn't believe it was possible at first, and it took him a long time to realize this truth. Next, we will interpret this book in 3 parts. First part. In the first stage of his business, Gary Keller spent 10 years building a very good company. During this period of time, he has been doing smoothly, so he feels confident that the company will soon expand its business to various countries around the world. To his surprise, at this time, the company suddenly fell into trouble. Despite all his efforts and sacrifices, the business was still a mess without any improvement. At that time, as if he was stuck in a trap, he desperately sought help from the people around him, hoping that someone could pull him out. At this time, one of his teachers reached out to him. The two went for a walk together, and after fully understanding the relevant details, the teacher began to think about how to solve his problem. By the end of their walk, the teacher had come up with a concrete solution. The teacher asked Gary Keller, "What do you think you need to do to turn things around?" Gary Keller shook his head in confusion. The teacher wrote 14 key positions on the wall and said, "You only need to do one thing to turn around the embarrassing situation of the whole company, and that is to assign the 14 key positions and mark to those who are really competent. As long as you choose the right people for these 14 key positions, the entire company can develop in a good way." Gary Keller was shocked. He couldn't believe how simple the solution was. He asked the teacher if the solution should be a little more complicated, and would it be safer to do a few more things to turn losses into profits. The teacher responded shortly and emphatically, "No. Jesus only needed 12 disciples, and you only needed 14 people in key positions." This moment can be said to have a turning point in the life of Gary Keller. After discussing with the teacher, he made a major decision and fired himself. He stepped back from the position of CEO of the company and began to concentrate on finding people in 14 key positions. What's the result? He found 14 key players. In less than 3 years, the company has achieved sustained profitability, and its profits have grown at a rate of 40% for 10 consecutive years, rapidly growing from a regional company to a national company. At this time, a new problem appeared again. When discussing work with these 14 key people, Gary Keller will first briefly summarize several tasks they have committed to complete at the current stage. What gave him a headache was that although these 14 people could complete most of the work they promised him, sometimes the most important work was not completed, causing their work to be in trouble. Gary Keller tried to communicate with them and simplify their work, from a few tasks that need to be done this week to the 3 most important tasks this week, and then simplified to the 2 most important tasks this week. Work, but still can't see the effect. Finally, he decided to try the just one thing approach. He asked them this way, "What is your most important task this week? Which one, once completed, will make other tasks easier or less important?" This idea came to him out of desperation, but at another surprise. Afterwards, the performance of these 14 key people rose sharply. Because of these 2 troubled experiences, Gary Keller began to summarize the relationship between the company's situation and his approach, and found an interesting phenomenon. Every time the company achieved great success, he focused on doing one thing. Gary Keller thought of such a question: everyone has 24 hours a day, Why do some people succeed and some people fail? Why do successful people accomplish more, reach higher goals, make more money, and own more? If we regard time as the original capital of a person's career, then everyone's original capital is 24 hours a day. How do successful people allocate their initial capital and get far more than others? Gary Keller believes that the answer is, all the behaviors and energy of successful people are closely focused on their goals. They succeed because they give up many things that can be done but are not necessary to do, and focus on the most important things. Whether it is work or life, if you want to achieve the best results, you must try to narrow your goals as much as possible. But most people don't quite believe this. They think that to achieve great things, it will take a lot of time and experience many twists and turns, so they make plans very full and their schedules are extremely tight, but success is getting farther and farther away from them. Everyone has limited time and energy. If you try to do everything, you will probably be exhausted and unable to take care of everything. You want to be multifaceted, and the result is to reduce efficiency. Too much stress can keep you from meeting deadlines, eating, sleeping, exercising, and spending time with family and friends. In Gary Keller's view, this has gone astray. There is actually a shortcut to success. As we said earlier, focus your time and energy on the most important thing. And most of us don't usually do that, because we have a lot of misunderstandings about success. We hear too many lies about success that actually mislead us and hinder our success. The second part. Because this book is about the most important thing is only one, so Gary Keller deliberately collected a lot of maxims that conflict with this sentence, such as everything is important, doing several things at the same time, efficiency will be higher, self-discipline and willpower can solve all problems. He thinks these are all lies. Let's start with the first one, everything matters. In life, we often fall into such a predicament. We have to do a lot of things every day, and some of them are postponed to the next day if they are not finished that day. Then, there are more and more things, and there is no way to finish them. We are busy beyond our normal load, but success does not come close to us just because we are busy. We work more but not more, because many of our busyness is blind. Making the mistake of thinking that everything is important and trying to get it all done is a common mistake we make. In order to get everything done, we have to rely on time management. Making a to-do list is indeed a useful way, which can effectively help us focus, but we are often limited by the list, as if we have to finish everything listed on the list. No, and the order in which we do things is inadvertently influenced by lists. The way successful people handle affairs is different from ordinary people. Before making a decision, they will fully think until they find the main task, and then take the main task as the core, and do other things around the main task. Chances are they'll start by doing work that the average person would normally put off. They also have a clear understanding of what to do. Instead of a tedious and lengthy to-do list, they tend to write a short and concise success list. How do successful people turn ordinary checklists into successful checklists? Let's look at Joseph Uron's discovery. Uron is a master of deciphering codes and has made outstanding contributions to the fields of science and business. His accomplishments caught the attention of General Electric. General Electric invited him to refer to the Italian economist Pareto's theory to test whether the company's salary distribution plan for management was reasonable. In the 19th century, Pareto put forward a view after calculation: 20% of the world's population owns 80% of the wealth. This is about the imbalance in the distribution of wealth. But Uron realized that there was a good chance that this was a general rule. Later, we called this rule the 28 rule. The 80-20 rule holds that what brings a lot of results, output, and rewards is often a small amount of cause, input, and effort. That said, success is also unfairly distributed. There are many cases where a small investment can achieve great success. Therefore, only by paying selectively can we effectively get rewards. Gary Keller himself was like that. A few defining moments brought him to where he is today, and in the case of investments, the vast majority of his wealth comes from a few good investments. Therefore, we can refer to the 80-20 rule and turn the to-do list into a success list. Pick out the most important 20% of what you have to do. Then narrow down the scope within this 20% until you find the most important thing. The second myth about success is that it's more efficient to do several things at once. If doing the one thing that matters most is the key, why do we have to do other things at the same time? In 2009, a Stanford University professor did a study. He wanted to see how so-called generalists could accomplish several tasks at once. He told the New York Times reporter that he didn't have this ability himself, so he used to envy those who could do it. The professor led the research team to distribute more than 200 questionnaires to investigate how students deal with multiple affairs at the same time. They divided the respondents into those who multitasked frequently and those who did not, and speculated that people who multitasked more often were more productive. But the result was beyond their expectation. The professor said, "I originally thought that generalists must have some kind of magical ability, but it turned out that they couldn't grasp the key points at all. They seem to have it all figured out and nothing is too much trouble for them, when in fact everything is poorly done. So it is a beautiful lie to say that one can juggle several things at once." The problem is, it's so popular right now that a lot of people think there should be several things at once, and they don't spare a lot of money. We often regard this way of doing things as a manifestation of high efficiency, and often discuss how to master this skill. The company also regards it as an ability with obvious advantages when recruiting, but in fact it is just a blind lie. It is neither efficient nor successful to handle several things at the same time. If you try to do two things at the same time, you will either not be able to do it at all, or you will not be able to do both well. There is a good saying, doing several things at the same time is equal to screwing up several things at the same time. Sometimes we can indeed do two things at the same time, such as walking and talking, eating and looking at a map, but we cannot do two things that require our attention at the same time. Strangely, modern people especially like to impress others as generalists. For example, listening to music while doing things, talking on the phone while driving, and playing on the computer while eating. Sometimes we don't have too little time and too many things, but we keep cueing ourselves to do more things at the same time. It used to be time to do one thing, but now we hope to do two or even three things. Let's talk about our work scene. Our office is a place that requires everyone to have 3 heads and 6 arms. You're concentrating on a project in front of you when someone coughs and asks if you have any cough lozenges. The phone calls in the office came and went, and no one was spared. It seems that the emails in the mailbox can never be processed, and the mobile phone keeps vibrating to remind you that you have received new messages. A bunch of couriers have not been opened, a bunch of things have not been done, but there are always people asking you endlessly about the progress of things. Distractions, interruptions happen all the time. Research shows that, on average, employees are interrupted every 11 minutes in the office, and they spend a third of their day recovering from interruptions. But even so, we still have to complete the task within the stipulated time. Multitasking at the same time? Switching back and forth between tasks? Such a statement is nothing but self-deception. Switching tasks is not without cost, the researchers found. If it is a simple task, the extra time cost is less than or equal to 25%. If it is a complex task, the extra time is likely to exceed 100%. It turns out we were wasting an average of 28% of our workday switching tasks. We simply don't realize how high a price we pay for the image of generalist. The third myth about success is that self-discipline and willpower solve all problems. Many times, we will tie success and willpower together, as if with willpower, we will be able to succeed. But the problem is that for most of us, willpower is not something you can have whenever you want it, nor is it inexhaustible and inexhaustible. You can think of willpower as the indicator bar of the remaining battery power of the mobile phone. Every morning, it may be fully charged, but as time goes by, you continue to use your stored power, and it is consumed. You need to find the right battery. Time to recharge without being able to use it all the time. We all know that we need to plan our limited resources, but instead of planning for such an important willpower as a personal limited resource, by the time we really need willpower to accomplish important tasks, it may have been depleted up. Modern research shows that willpower is indeed fleeting, and the energy is huge but not long-lasting. After using willpower, the glucose content in our blood will drop sharply. We can think of willpower as a resilient mental muscle that takes a long time to recover. If we use too much willpower on one thing and then move on to the next without waiting for it to recover, our performance will be unsatisfactory. At this time, you need to supplement your brain with nutrients, such as eating some foods that can slowly raise blood sugar, such as carbohydrates and protein. Therefore, if we want to make good use of willpower, we need to consciously grasp the timing, do the most important things when the willpower is strongest every day, and finish it before the willpower fails. Self-discipline is also not something that can be taken for granted. From the perspective of human nature, it is impossible for you to ask yourself to be self-disciplined all the time, but you should develop a certain habit through fixed training methods and long enough training time. The trick to success is to choose the right habit and train yourself to develop this habit. When this habit has become a part of your life, you will look like a self-disciplined person to others. We may find it particularly difficult to form a habit when we first start, but once the habit is formed, it is much easier to maintain it than to form it. So, how long does it take for self-discipline to become a habit? The results of the University of London survey provide us with a clear answer. It takes an average of 66 days to form a habit. We are sometimes encouraged to say that it takes 21 days to form a habit, but this is not realistic, so don't give up too early. Australian researchers also found a halo effect in habit formation. During the experiment, students who developed good habits generally reported less stress, less impulsive shopping, better eating habits, less frequency of watching TV, and even improved the situation of accumulating dirty dishes without washing them. This shows that maintaining good habits is not only getting easier, but can have benefits in other areas of life. We all know Michael Phelps, the swimming champion, who was diagnosed with attention deficit disorder as a child. His kindergarten teacher told his mother, "Phelps is always fidgeting, can't be quiet, sorry, your son can't concentrate at all." However, this young man who seems to have nothing to do with concentration and success has set one world record after another. "Michael's concentration surprised me," his mother said proudly. His swimming coach also praised his concentration as the most powerful weapon. Why did Phelps make such a change? The secret lies in his training habits over the years. From the age of 14 to participating in the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games, Phelps insisted on training 7 days a week and spent 6 hours underwater every day without interruption. He devoted all his energy to this most important thing. This discipline and habit has allowed him to find his place in the pool with great success. The third part. After figuring out these lies about success, we can return to the theme of this book. There is only one most important thing, but which one is it? You need to ask yourself a key question: what is the most important thing I can do? Why does doing one thing make other things easier or unnecessary? This question can be broken down into 3 parts. 1. What is the most important thing I can do? This question inspires you to act. The most important thing means that the answer is one thing, one specific thing, not many things. As many options as you may have, you have to make a judgment call, or you can't move on to the second thing, the third thing. You must choose the one most important thing to do. What I can do prompts you to take possible actions. Can do, not must do, may do or will do. There are many things we must do, may do, will do, but never do. Doing something because you can do it is much more powerful than wanting to do it. Second, what will happen after you do this thing? This is to say that your answer must meet a standard. This standard allows you to change from finding something to do to doing something for a clear goal. Do this and means you have to dig deep, because after you do one thing, another thing will follow. 3. Make other things easier or unnecessary. Archimedes said, "Give me a fulcrum and I can move the earth." You must find such a fulcrum to make other things easier or unnecessary. Once you've done the one thing that matters most, you'll find that the other things you need to do to achieve your goals can be done with less effort, or aren't necessary at all. You can turn a blind eye to trivial things, like putting a blindfold on yourself. Only in this way can you change the trajectory of your life and do the most important thing without any distractions. Key questions will lead you to what matters most to you at different stages of your life. At different times, you just need to divert your attention and rethink what the key issues are. If a person wants to have happiness, the most important thing is to devote himself to his career and make his life more meaningful. When what we do every day gradually reaches a goal, happiness will follow. The way to achieve success is to understand what is really important to you and realize it bit by bit. The author of this book, Gary Keller, gave a very practical suggestion, which is the backward method. First, consider the long-term goals, and then step back step by step, backwards to the most important thing that should be done now. Please think about it. What is the single most important thing I should do in the next 5 years for my long-term goals? What is the most important thing I should do this year for my 5-year goal? What is the single most important thing I should do this month to achieve my goals for this year? What is the single most important thing I should do this week in order to achieve my goals for this month? What is the single most important thing I should do today to achieve my goals for this week? What is the single most important thing I should do right now to achieve today's goals? Connect all goals one by one until you find the one that is most important at the moment. Let me give you an example. Someone once asked the famous American comedian Jerry Seinfeld, how can he become a better comedian? Seinfeld said he wrote a joke every day. His method is to hang a huge calendar on the wall, and when he writes a joke, he will put a big red cross on the calendar of that day. He said the line of red crosses would get longer and longer and he would love to see it continue, and the only thing he had to do was not let it break. The so-called persistence is not long-distance running, but a series of many sprints. The above is the main content of the book The One Thing. The author tells us that we had many misunderstandings about success in the past. We thought that if we want to succeed in our career, everything is important, doing several things at the same time will be more efficient, self-discipline and willpower can solve all problems. Actually, these are all lies about success. If you want to achieve extraordinary achievements, you must know what the most important thing you can do is, and then around this core goal, work backwards step by step to find the most important thing at the moment. What is the most important thing to you right now? This is the end of this episode of the show. What do you think about it differently? Welcome to leave a message to discuss with everyone. Hey, if you like our channel, please subscribe us. Haha, remember to like it.